Hi, this is Andy from Make Me a DJ. Today we're going to be going into part 2 of the Oldschool Rave Breaks tutorials, and we're going to be focusing on the drums for the track. We're going to be chopping up breaks and also layering them with other drum parts. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is head to the left hand side, browse through our samples library. So we're just going to throw a few samples for you into a pack, and we're just going to type in like breaks or something like that. You can use jungle breaks and slow them down and repitch them. You can use any sort of break that you fancy really. So I've created an audio track and just thrown a few in, just to kind of audition them and get a feel for them. I really like this one. It's a little bit more hard hitting. And this one as well, it might be a little bit too distorted for the main groove. Yep, so we're going to use this one. Let's just right click and quantize, make sure it's all on the grid, because a lot of older breaks can be slightly out of time. We're just going to right click on the MIDI clip, hit slice to new MIDI and make sure it's on transient. So that's going to chop up that drum break into individual sounds. It's going to lay it out into a drum rack and also into a MIDI clip. So if I just click play on each of these sounds. So if we go into the MIDI clip now, we'll see all the MIDI notes laid out. And we're just going to change this to the loop length, just a bar for this. You can go more complex if you want. And then I'm going to crop the clip. What we can do is start to move the notes about a little bit and rearrange the pattern. So I'm going for a 4/4 kick drum beat, and I just want emphasis on the 1 and the 3. Once we've done that, we're just going to add an EQ to the channel. Just take away some of that low end that we don't really need, because we're going to be layering up our own kick drum underneath that. So we're just cleaning it up a little bit now. Now we're going to add a kick layer, so we're just going to insert a new audio track. You can do it in MIDI if you want to. We're just going to find our kick drum sample that we want to use, and it needs to be a little bit more impactful. That's what I'm going for with this. So again, just head to the Make Me a DJ sample pack. So I've picked the one that I want to go with this track, I think will fit. Just drag that onto the audio track. And now we just want to take one of these kick drums and have it repeat every beat. So if we go to our loop length and just drag that down from 2 bars to 1 beat, and then I'm going to crop that clip. Trigger that. That sounded nice already. I'll just turn the gain down a little bit. So next we're going to insert a new MIDI track. Head into the drums, Ableton drums, just the 909. You can use your own 909 samples if you want. We're just going to layer up the hats here. So I'm just going to go for a kind of rolling closed hat here. So if we add them on all the 16ths, and I'm just adding some really subtle velocity changes to this as well, just to keep it a little bit more human and interesting. And so I've done about 4, and I'm just going to highlight those, Command D to duplicate, and spread that out over a bar. Sounded nice, but I just want to take a little bit of the low end out of those and just dip the mids a little bit, just to make them a little bit thinner, as we've got quite a thick break underneath it. And just add a little bit of shine and air on top. So I'm going to duplicate this track. I'm going to delete those notes and just insert an open hi-hat on the offbeat here. Just to finish it off, I'm going to add some reverb to the open hat, just to make it add a little bit of space to it. Sounding good. A little bit of sidechain compression, just to tighten things up. I'm going to take the input from the kick drum and just bring the threshold down a little bit till it adds a little bit more of a tight pumping groove. Once that's done, tiny bit of EQ just to boost the top end, add a little bit of shine to it, and we've got that low cut on as well. Final thing, if we highlight all the tracks for our drums, just do Command G to group them. That's going to be our drum bus. So now we're going to add the drum bus plugin with the audio effect onto it. I'm going to bring the dry wet all the way down and just dial a little bit of that in while bringing the output down, seeing as it boosts that. A bit of crunch, add a bit of transient, just play about with the settings. It's going to vary depending on what sounds you're using. And that's just going to give it a more old school feel. So in the next part, we're going to show you how to create a subline for this. There's a couple of different layers to that, and I'll just play it through so then you can get a feel for what the next part's going to bring. Again, if you found this helpful, feel free to book in a one-to-one session with myself, Andy, at Maybe a DJ. You can either come down to the studio or do it through Zoom if you're a little bit further afield.